All right.
Let's
YouTube,
go.
we are
We
back.
are going. Look at that.
We're going. I don't know about the show, though.
It's going. Certainly going.
Slow, but it's going.
Well, actually, you know what? Hey, we just YouTube. We've been bagging on Babylon 5 pretty hard.
I know.
It's not going to stop today, but I think that
Unless it earns it.
much as a couple weeks ago, right? Was it Learning Curve where you and I were on different sides of it, but we both agreed there was some stuff in that one, you know, and I have a prediction that you and I are going to agree at the end of this one that there's some stuff in this one.
Yeah.
Yep. So there's hope for you, us. There's hope for us,
Mm.
YouTube, and maybe you too.
You know what that hope is? Next week.
Maybe
Until we get to episode 22, there's always, well,
Dude.
we got next week.
Next week has become two of the scariest words for me because it's just like, hey, next week. Oh,
I don't know about that. Right.
Next week. Oh.
Anyway, what you guys out there are about to watch, Jeff and I record a podcast. If you're new to the channel, welcome. You guys are awesome. And thanks for joining us. If you're old, you've been around for a while, you know what I'm about to say. This is the behind the scenes. This is how Jeff and I record the show. You guys are getting to watch all the outtakes, all the bloopers, all the run-ons, the stuff that we're going to be like, actually, we probably shouldn't have said that. Well, you know what? We're going to leave it right here in all its glory for you guys to watch. And, you know, if anyone has to get up and run to the restroom, well, we're not going to take the camera with us, but, you know.
Well, I mean,
welcome to podcasting.
As I said, the cable's not that long, but I wouldn't take it off the table.
Anyway, hopefully you won't have to any of that. This will just be a nice, good, clean run of the show. But we're going to do that. Hey, you guys like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. Have a lot of fun with us. The one thing that we ask all the time is when you guys are commenting down below, please do comment. Please remember, try that one again. Please remember, no spoilers. Jeff and I have not seen past this part of the episode. We have not put all the pieces together. Babylon 5 for the second time is coming at some point, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how quickly after this run we're going to turn around and do.
Well, we got other stuff, right? We still have the movies. We've still got the books and some stuff. So there'll be a little bit of a break.
We do on the Babylon 5 side, and we've got some non-Babylon 5 stuff happening right here, as people may have noticed. So we'll see. I want to give it a little bit of a breather, you know, before turning around and going back to the gathering. Although I'm excited to go through at a faster pace, though.
Yeah.
You know. But anyway, all of that being said, we're going to talk about this episode now. What is this one?
Secrets of the Soul.
Okay. Dawn of the Dead. That's what I was about to say. Why was I going to say Dawn of the Dead?
I have no idea.
Why is that in my head?
Because a great film.
Dawn of the Dead. Did you ever see Shaun of the Dead?
I did. That's so good.
All right. Well, let's go.
Let's do this.
At least I should have bumped him just once.
Humans form communities.
And from that diversity comes a strength.
Now get the hell out of our galaxy!
The year is 2024.
The name of the podcast, Babylon 5.
For the first time.
Welcome to Babylon 5 for the first time, not a Star Trek podcast. My name is Jeff Akin, and I am the one who was.
And I'm Brent Allen, and I am the one who will be.
And we're watching Babylon 5 for the first time for you, the one who is.
Jeff and I are two veteran Star Trek podcasters that are taking our skills that we have acquired from our time in the Alpha Quadrant and applying them right here to Babylon 5 in the J Quadrant, Quadrant 12, because you can have more than 4 in Babylon 5. Anyway, you guys know what I'm talking about. We're taking the skills we've learned there, applying it here to Babylon 5, and searching for those important messages that Babylon 5 is delivering in its own unique way.
It's really those Babylon 5 messages, not Star Trek messages. Because it's not about the Star Trek messages, and this is not a Star Trek podcast, we play the Rule of 3. This is a game that limits us to a total of no more than 3 references to Star Trek per episode.
That's it. 3. 1, 2, 3. No substitutions, exchanges, or refund.
And Jeff, what happens if we do make those references?
You're going to hear this.
That's right. Because as we say, while this is definitely not a Star Trek podcast, those references are bound to slip in from time to time, maybe even on purpose. Not so slippery as much as forced in, crammed in, shoved in, Jeff. Now, along with the rule of three, there's another game we like to play at the end of the show where we try to guess next week's episode based on the title alone. Well, this is the spot where it's time to play our favorite game.
Time to pay the piper.
And this is the spot where we revisit our prediction from last week and see if we got it right. So, Jeff, it is your turn, my friend. What did you say Secrets of the Soul was going to be about?
I thought we were getting...
Hold on. What did you say Secrets of the Soul was going to be about, and how close were you?
I thought this was going to be Racing Mars, but instead of Marcus and Franklin, we were going to get Londo and Jakar on their way to Centauri Prime, and that it would be ending with Londo getting ready to be crowned as Emperor.
Yeah, none of that happened.
That's a goose egg. Big time. What did you think?
Well, I said it was going to be a Lanier episode. It's time for Lanier to come back. He's been out for a few weeks. It's time for him to come back. And we're going to see what's going on with him over in Ranger School. I thought we should have had him a few episodes ago, but we should have caught up with him. And this was going to be all about Lanier.
We're playing some soccer here, some football. We tied at 0.
Well, I mean, Lanier was in the intro.
True.
He's still in the intro. What is going on with Bill Mummy? Is he like out making a movie right now, and that's why they wrote him off, or like what is going on?
It's got to be something.
If there's a non-spoiler answer to that, I'd love to know. Like, is there a real world answer? I don't want anything having to do with in-universe, but is there a real world answer why Bill Mummy's not around right now? I'd love to know. Well, Jeff, for those who have not seen this episode in a while, or maybe they've never seen this episode and they're listening to us anyway, just because, which is awesome. Jeff, why don't you tell the folks at home what this episode was actually about?
Dr. Franklin is diving headfirst into his new role as interspecies virologist and biology specialist. He starts the day by making a Pak'marath throw up a barium compound, and honestly, it's kind of downhill from there. He meets with the Hyach ambassador, the big puffy-headed aliens that we've seen in the background. In fact, I think that one of them was riling people up in the summoning before Sheridan came back from his, short trip to the dead. Well, this ambassador with the blessing...
Sorry, Jeff. We have never seen this alien before.
I'm 100% sure we've seen this alien.
This is a brand new alien. We have not seen this alien before.
You have homework, my friend. I want you to go watch the summoning.
We have seen Marcab. I remember Marcab. These guys are brand new.
Well, rip to the Marcab. These are the Marcab with inflated butt heads. I wasn't going to say it. But they're the butthead aliens.
Oh, they are a bunch of buttheads, but that's neither here nor there. I'm sorry to interrupt your oh so eloquent recap. Please continue.
Well, this ambassador, with the blessing of the Council of Elders, agrees to turn over all their medical files and databases so Franklin can catalog and study them. It's pretty cool, right? Well, Kieran, the Hyach version of Netoth number 2, ain't cool with this at all. What if he finds out? She asks. Finds out what? You might be asking. Well, as expected, Franklin does find out whatever this is, and that is that there used to be another related species called the Hyach doe. No, not the Muta doe, but the Hyach doe that lived on their homeworld. And the Hyach, they genocided them. So the secret is out. And it gets even better. Turns out their interbreeding before the genociding has tweaked their genetics so much that now they're dying out. Franklin gets them to agree after Kieran tries to attack him, holding a gun, honestly, that I'd be embarrassed to give my 5-year-old nephew to play with. But they agree to share this secret with the Alliance so the best and the brightest can come together to find a way to keep the Hyach alive. Also, more telepaths and a teep or a teak. Also, more telepaths and a teak or a telekinetic come to join Byron. There's some fighting with thugs down below, and despite Byron's absolutely blatant racism or mundanism and prejudice, Lyta totally falls for him. They get it on, telepath style, which is different from human style. But we end up getting a glimpse into what the Vorlons did to Lyta and to everyone else. Byron is infuriated that the Vorlons created telepaths to fight their war. And now, for some reason, he's going to take it out on the normals. So, Brent, hit me with how this one hit you.
Oh, Jeff, oh, Jeff, oh, Jeff, oh, Jeff. Okay, I need to own something right here at the beginning because of where this is going to go for me. Now, this is me. I have a rule. I don't talk about stuff unless I have personal experience with it. I don't speak to other people's experiences. I can only speak from my experience. That being said, I want to acknowledge, especially for those of you out there in the podcast world who can't see my face, I am a white, middle-aged, heterosexual, cisgendered male living in America. What this episode brings up in me is something that I and many people like me have been dealing with for a long time. Oh yeah, let me also say I'm from Kentucky. Kentucky's part of the South. Now, Jeff, I don't know what you deal with up there in the Northwest, but down here in the South, and people are like, Kentucky's not really part of the South. Yes, sir, it is. We're a special brand of the South. We're the hillbillies. We ain't the rednecks. We the hillbillies. All right, here we go. Anyway, and I can say that because I are one. I want to acknowledge all of that because as much as I wish that I have everything figured out, the truth is I don't. I don't have all the perfectly acceptable, socially awesome answers to the issues of our day today. I don't have them all. I am still in progress. And I'm in progress on so many different things. There's a lot I still, frankly, don't get. I don't understand, which is why I don't speak to it. I'm trying. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to listen and hear from my friends, from my neighbors, from people who are different than I am. That being said, there is also still a lot ingrained in me from my own childhood, from my own upbringing. And sometimes, frankly, it's hard to tell the difference between what was put into me and instilled in me as a child and what is my own independent thinking as a caring adult who values people and values life. This episode started as one big eye roll for me. I tried watching this thing so many times. I kept getting interrupted. There was more than one occasion I would try to come up here at the end of the night when things were calming down, and I would sit here and I would fall asleep at the computer doing my reaction video within 10 minutes. And I had to scrap the whole thing and just start over. I hate Byron. I want to put that out there. I hate this guy. His whole Messiah complex is incredibly annoying. I want to punch him in the face every chance I get. I just like that dude. And not righteously either. There are moments in this episode where the acting and the editing and the directing and the cinematography were elementary at best. I thought the score was really good all the way through, though. So we're going along with this episode, and I catch on pretty quick. Byron is starting to do this thing, which we've done a lot in Star Trek, and we've done a lot here on Babylon 5, and we've done a lot in all these other sci-fis, which is you're dividing people into us versus them. That's what Byron's doing. Oh, the normals versus the telepaths. We blamed Bester for doing this earlier. We blamed lots of other people. And I thought that that's really where this was going to go. I didn't even think this was an intended message. It was just they're kind of doing the plot, and this is what's coming alongside of it. I've seen this 1,000 times. I had a few notes on it, mostly about how it leads to the division of mankind and how that's never helpful. I thoughts about Lyta showing the journey of the girl next door getting swept up into it and going so far as joining a cult or even a cult of a personality. All that was fine. But then the Hyach stuff hit. And the Hyach dough. And we learn about their history and we learned about what happened with them. And then this episode came crashing together for me, Jeff. I want to be clear about something. I do not like this episode. I did not enjoy this episode. This is not even a Schindler's List type of an episode where like, man, I can never watch that episode again, but gosh, everybody should watch it. This is not that kind of an episode for me. I do not like this episode. I have so many issues with this episode, but I cannot deny this as being a poignant and perhaps even an important episode in the Babylon 5 catalog. On the one hand, we have Byron, who is gathering and I'm sorry if this is flipping our whole thing upside down, Jeff, our whole order. It might. I'm going to try not to, but I'm giving you the opening pieces. On the one hand, we have Byron, who is gathering a following. He's basically trying to set us up for a race war. You can feel it coming. And rather than finding commonality and harmony, he wants to gather his own, retreat to his own, find his own homeland, not allow outsiders in, and have his own space and be better than everybody else, is really where he's wanting to go. The Hyach and the Hyach Doe show us, Jeff, where that path leads. The Hyach were doomed by their own racism. You have this, occasionally we get this in Babylon 5, Jeff. TKO comes to mind. What's the one that had the gospel singing and Rifa was dying?
The rock cried out, no hiding place.
No hiding place.
Yeah.
Right. Gray 17 is missing. You have this thing where like what's happening in one is showing what's going on in the other, and they're working together. This was doing that in such a way of like, here's where Byron is wanting to take us. Here's what the future 800 years looks like with the Hyach Doe to show us where this is going to lead, because it's not a good place to go. That's where this episode became so I can't say brilliant because I don't think it was a good episode, but that's where this episode really began to work. Now, all of that said, while I think a lot can be said about this episode in terms of what it is saying about racism and driving wedges rather than uniting and where that leads, that's the easy stuff to talk about, Jeff. That's the easy stuff that we can just sort of pick over. But to me, this episode goes a big step further. This episode goes a step further than Star Trek ever did. And frankly, that is the part that speaks to me. That is the part that cries out to me. Here's the issue. Here's the question. And people don't address this that often. Are future generations responsible for the sins of their fathers? In this episode, we see Franklin talking to the Hyach, and when he realizes what they've done, he immediately makes a decision and holds them responsible for what they did to the Hyach Doe. I'm sorry, for what their ancestors did to the Hyach Doe. But because he softened on that, and we can talk about why later, but then he's like, well, you tried to hide it. And like, yeah, that has been our shame. What do you do with your shame? Like, it takes some time to bring that out. Like, and I mean, you're guilty of this too. And we can talk about whether or not that was right or wrong. It's a Franklin thing. You probably can see where at least I'm coming down on it. I don't know about Jeff, although I got a good idea. And then you go all the way to the end. The whole thing happened with Lyta and the Vorlons, and we watched Byron double down, even triple down on holding people responsible for what they did to us, for the sins of those who went before you. You had nothing to do with it, but your grandfather did, or somebody who looks like you, somebody who is of your type did this, and so now you're going to be responsible for it. He doubled down. He said that. We're going to hold them responsible. Jeff, I think these are the conversations we as a society should be having today. Because there's a lot wrong with our society that stems from the sins of our fathers. And what is our role and our responsibility in that today? From my perspective, what I mostly see, though, is some people think that we should just understand that that's the issue and we should just accept it without actually ever having a conversation. And that, I think, is wrong. This idea of like, hey, you're responsible for this because you're this type and this type oppressed us 400 years ago or whatever. Like, and we don't want to have that conversation. You should just accept it and let's go on with it. And we need to be having that conversation. So in the end, so I can sum this up, I think this was an incredibly weak episode. I think it was an eye-rolling episode. But I also think it's an episode that said a whole lot, Jeff, and it's gonna be real interesting to dive into, and it's gonna be real icky, ticky ground that, again, I go back to, I'm still a work in progress. I don't really have it all figured out. How about you, Jeff? How'd this one stick out to you?
So you can see my notes over on our Patreon. We post our notes on Patreon. And what you're going to see, you're right, you flip this on its head. So your opening thoughts are very much reflected in my closing thoughts, right? Because my opening thoughts, I'll just read them. It's 2 lines. I got nothing here. It's a season 1 episode with Byron. We're learning a lot about the other races, and I kind of like that. I've seen the Hyach before. We have seen them. We've seen the Hyach before. We've seen them. It's just too bad they got really bad actors to portray them. Those are my opening thoughts. Now, my notes take me on a journey to the end, and my closing thoughts on this that reflect a lot, so I look forward to that. But I think you're right, because when I even look at my other notes on here, I mean, I got nothing here as far as notes, on the stuff that happened, really. But I think, like, the questions you pose, that's our conversation. So let's just, on the surface, just say, this episode happened. Things happened. Great. Okay. Cool. It was wild when Byron and Lyta hooked up, and every person in that room was feeling it, right? Like, okay, there you go. But I am very curious, and I appreciate you owning your place. I will do the same, much like Brent, white, cisgendered, heterosexual, Christian male, in an executive leadership position. I'm all those things. I'm from the Pacific Northwest, but I'm also in the part of the Pacific Northwest that up until around 1940 had laws on the books excluding people that are black from owning land or being here, specifically being, we had what was called the sunset or sundown laws, that if you were essentially, if you were darker skinned than a paper bag, a brown paper bag, and you were found outside after the sun went down, vigilante justice was an acceptable course of action in the state of Oregon. Yeah. Wow. There's a reason we have high schools still to this day whose mascots are the dragons. It's not because of our rich partnership with our brothers and sisters in Japan. No, it's because of an organization in the United States who has a dragon in its leadership position, a grand dragon. Yeah. Oregon, for being very progressive in a lot of ways, has a pretty horrifying history. We were the only state that was admitted into the Union with laws excluding people that are black.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I thought I was something coming from the land of Kentucky.
Right? Wow. Well, I think, and frankly, I mean, this is not defending slavery. It's not defending the political position of the Confederacy in the South. But, dude, at least they were out in the open about it, right? And it's still a thing we talk about. And this is my segue into kind of our conversation in Oregon to this day. There's a lot of groups that actively suppress that part of our history, that we just talk about how progressive we are and how welcome we are to people, and let's embrace our diversity and all of these things, when really, I mean, 80 years ago we were actively lynching people because of the color of their skin. But you don't hear that. Wow. We don't talk about it. But the question on that, to segue us in, am I, as an Oregonian born and raised here, what's my level of responsibility in that?
Yeah. It becomes that. So you're right. You can see your notes. You also can see my notes on Patreon, and you'll note that my notes are about 7 times longer than Jeff's.
Yeah.
The majority of those are just observations I made during the episode of like, oh, look at this. Oh, look at that. Jeff, if you don't mind, there are a handful I'd love to hit, but I'm just going to leave the rest of them because they're not super important to us. So can we put a pin in this conversation just for a few moments and kind of run through a couple just observations about the episode as a whole?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Byron and his Messiah complex. this is getting worse by the episode, right? You know, he walks up,
Big
he's like,
time.
hit me, just hit me. Okay, well, did you feel any different between 1, 2, and 3? Then why do you think 5, 6, and 7 is going to be any different? Just get out of my way. Like, it's like he started by going like, I'm going to crucify myself for you, and then it turned into like, okay, you're stupid and get out of my way now.
I kind of loved that. I got notes. I kind of loved that scene. Part of it. I loved part of that scene. Let me be really clear. Part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of my stuff about Byron goes to this whole Messiah complex. I can't decide if this is a cult or if this is a cult of a personality, because it's very wrapped around him. There are some times when he's in his closed quarters that it does kind of feel like he really is thinking about his people and less about his own elevation. But then we get a line where he's like, "Hey, if I wasn't locked up, I could have prevented this. It had to be me." Right. And I'm sorry, at the end, when uh when Byron and Lyta walk through the spot where everybody's sleeping, and
Yeah.
then they go into his little tent in the back. My note was, these two are gonna bone. That's how this works. He is taking her back there to have his way, and he's gonna smooth talk her into it, and she walked right into it.
And everyone they walked past knew exactly what was about to happen.
100%.
They've seen that time after time.
Probably because a lot of them were a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, frankly, I don't know. I don't know. I can't. I'm just saying that's the vibe that thing gave off all the way around. My biggest problem here, though, obviously with him, is this whole Byron is getting more and more brazen about you. And I'll go back to this. He's insisting on this you versus them thing. And that's the basis, by the way, of this racism. That's the basis of the Hyach and the Hyach Do, is this you versus them. He says at the end, or he says in one spot, he's like, he was attacked by one of you. Oh, well, he's talking to Franklin, I think, in the moment, right? And he's like, oh, this guy was attacked. Yeah, he was attacked by one of you, not by one of us. That's a problem. That's how these wars start, is this idea of sorting us into one versus other. I mean, you can sort people based on anything. Male, female, white, black, Hispanic, Asian, long hair, short hair, dark hair, male, female, gay, straight, binary, non-binary, Trekkies, Jedi wannabes. You can divide us on anything. And most of the time, that stuff that we're dividing people over is something you have zero control over. It's the lot you're born into in life. There's just no control over it. Your age, your abilities, your neurodiversity. You can't control some of that stuff. Yeah. And he's driving it.
Yeah.
Anyway, Byron has some of the worst game I have ever seen in my life, but it's 100% working on Lyta.
Big time. Yeah.
You're a BCFMO? What?
Like, that's the moment. As soon as he says that, she goes, "Oh gosh, look at the time. I forgot I have a thing tomorrow. I'm gonna have to head back. Oh my god, how did I get myself into this?"
Yeah. Okay, I do want to talk about Lyta, though. Lyta talking to Zack.
Yeah.
She is talking to Zack, or I'm sorry, let me take that back. Zack is talking to Lyta the exact way an ex-boyfriend is talking to his ex-girlfriend about her new boyfriend.
Yep, exactly. I felt so bad for him. One, let me own, I was wrong. I called it a while ago. I thought they were being intimate. I thought these things were going on. Nope. Apparently flash in the pan, and Zach's a little jelly. He's pretty jealous on this, but also not wrong.
No, he's 100% right. Now let's talk about who's not wrong. Lyta. Lyta brings up some really good points and some legit feelings. She did a lot for the folks there. And she didn't get much out of it in return. That actually begs a whole other question that is not a Star Trek message. This is not the thing. This would be unintentional. But What do we owe to those whom serve? Jeff, you served in the military. What does society owe you?
Nothing. I mean, that's probably a controversial thing to say, but you know what? I got paid for my time when I was in there. I got benefits that lasted afterwards. I mean, I go apply for a lot of jobs. I get preference in that, in the United States there. I mean, that's not every job, right? But just some, mostly government jobs. But I have access to loans and health care that other people don't have. So, I mean, we take care of our veterans, but you know what you owe me? Nothing. I think this is the key point for me on this one. I made a choice to serve. Right. If it wasn't the case, right? And I know that we have some people listening that were in the Vietnam War, and I won't insult them by saying they served, because many of them don't see it as service. They were forced into that. Some did, and that's fine. Some did serve and feel it that way, but I think choice plays a big role in it. At no point was Lyta forced to do anything for the League or for Babylon 5. She was forced into her situation with the Vorlons. She put herself in the situation, right? She went out there. I think part of what we saw in this episode is that things happened to her beyond her scope of choice. But everything she did for Sheridan and Babylon 5, she chose that.
Yep.
And without promise of remuneration or compensation. Like, it was never like, hey, you do this thing for us and we'll give you nice quarters.
Yep.
So yeah, I get it. I hear her, but I'm also not fully on her side. Not fully. I am definitely partly there.
Again, it brings up the question, what do you owe to those who serve? Because I think she has some really good feelings. And what happens is Brian's playing on those. He knows that she has those, so he's playing on those with her. Because she brings up, like, you guys tried to force me out of my quarters. And she's blaming Zach. Zach's relaying a message is what Zach's doing.
Although I go back, Zach should have invited her to live with him.
I would agree with you there. What does a church owe to its pastors, or a mosque owe to its imam?
Imam.
What does a community owe to its firefighters, its EMS, its police officers? What do students and their parents owe to teachers? What do kids owe to their parents? What do we owe them more than what they've already gotten? Because that's kind of where Lead is going. And again, that's where I go. This is how people get mixed up into cults. You play on those things where you feel like you're slighted. You feel like you didn't get a fair shake, Yeah. And again, it gets it turned into us versus them. Lyta acts like she went out and did all this stuff for all these other people. Don't forget, Lyta is part of the galactic community. And what was going to happen with the Vorlons and Shadows affected her too.
Yeah.
Like, she's also an Earthling. Telepath though she may be, she is an Earthling. The Earth Civil War is her Civil War. So it just
yeah. Well, I think fundamentally, right? Because reflecting on what I said a little bit, I think fundamentally, whether you served to that point, right? Whether you've served or you haven't served, whether you had a job or not a job, you are, as the Minbari would say, you are a manifestation of the universe.
Yeah.
You exist. And at the very minimum, this is what you're owed: dignity and respect. Period. Now, dignity and respect can show up in different ways, right? And I think, to your other point on cult leaders, my job as a cult leader is to manipulate and reform your idea of what respect and dignity looks like.
Yeah.
They didn't give you big quarters because they don't respect you and what you did. Mm-hmm. No, actually, they didn't give you bigger quarters because you don't have a job. And it's like, in our society, this is how things work, and you're not playing the game. Right or wrong, you're not playing the game. Right. But he manipulates that. And I think that's it's easy to say respect and dignity, but that looks different to people. And as a good cult leader like Byron is shaping up to be, you twist that and you turn her, you take that little bit of victim that's living inside her and you ramp that up as much as you can with you over here with that silver platter of just like, and I got all the respect and dignity you could ever want right here. Look, I'll even have my flock awkwardly hold and touch you to tell you that you have that respect and dignity.
Right. To show that you're one of us. Lyta, let's talk about her though. Lyta does not have a history of being a very wise person.
I can
And
agree
we've
with that.
seen this. Her choices are very questionable at best. She wisely tells Jakar no to being his telepath baby mama.
Yeah,
I'll give her
smart.
that. She did the thing with Kosh that maybe she should have, maybe she shouldn't have. It happened. But she gets mixed up with the Vorlons, and she allows them to change her and transform her. She winds up leaving Psycor, which again, we can think is a good thing. It may not be, may have been, whatever. But after Kosh dies, she winds up staying with the Vorlon. And now I don't know what all went into that. Yeah, why did she? And dude's abusing her.
Hardcore.
Kosh 2, the Electric Boogaloo, full on abusing her. You know, um, I'm looking. Brent's looking for it in his notes. I just lost my note.
It's a long set of notes.
It is a long set of notes.
That's what you get for being so thorough.
Right. It's true. It's true. Oh yeah, here it is. She has something good going with Zack, and then suddenly she doesn't. Like they just drop that whole line. You know. She rightly gets involved with the Earth stuff because she's, like I said, she's a member of the Earth. But now she's mixed up with this guy who's just a smooth talker, and Zack turns into the bad guy all of a sudden. I mean, her decision making is questionable at best, right? That said, I hate what they've done with the Lyta character out of this episode. Prior to this episode, you know who Lyta still was? She was a strong, independent lead in her own story.
Yeah.
She was the lead in her own story. And now she is the one in which the main character of another story simply comes home to rest. She is the one who provides for the other. She has taken on this role of comfort for Byron and being his second fiddle. And I hate that for Lyta. You know, like
Yeah.
I really do. Like I'm like, this is Ivanova would never do that.
Right. But I think one thing we're learning about Babylon 5 is it's a story of failure and redemption, and for a lot of people. And I mean, we're watching that happen in real time with Londo, you know, and we've watched it happen with Jakar. And I think we're going to get an abbreviated version with Lyta. Like, this is my hope and my dream, is that she's becoming that second fiddle, but soon she'll be the third, and then the fourth, and then the fifth fiddle, you know, because Byron's going to do his thing. And we know this telepath war is coming.
Right.
I think she's going to be the thing that pulls us out, like that saves us and, you know, gives the killing blow or whatever that ends everything. Yeah. But it's going to come down to that moment where Byron's like, I believed in you. I built you into what you are. And she's going to be like, you did. Oh, I love you, but I can't. You're so wrong. And you didn't do this. I did this for myself. Boom, mind blow up and everybody dies in a mind bloodless
She's
matter.
She's going to use the Forlorn powers that she got to...
It's all going to unlock. And then she'll have to live in an encounter suit forever because she's going to go full Vorlon. And if you listen to like Tropic Thunder or whatever, you never go full Vorlon. But she will.
So we have all of that. I want to save this one for just a moment. Okay, the whole scene, Lyta and Byron are doing it, and everybody wakes up and they're kind of like, whatever. And then all of a sudden we see Lyta in this like Bacta tank.
Mm-hmm.
It actually reminded me of Wolverine.
Oh,
and the
wow.
times when we saw Wolverine getting made. But then like she's full grown in this thing. But then we face over and there's a fetus growing. And then it fades into a telepath that kind of looks like a grown-up version of that fetus. And then that happens again. And then the one that was really distinct was there was one that clearly looked Asian, the fetus did, and all of a sudden it went into an Asian telepath, and I'm like, what is this trying to tell us, Jeff? I like, is this trying to say that Lyta was the mother of all these telepaths, and these telepaths were from Lyta, and she's like their mom, and they've fast grown up or something. Like, I, I, I'm not 100% sure what that whole vision thing was. What did you get out of that?
I think the gist is that the Vorlons did and were seeding all of the worlds with telepaths.
Okay, they said that. They directly
Yep.
said that. So I'm with you on that one.
But that's like what's still happening. Like they're still like creating them and infusing them into their societies and bloodlines to expand the amount of telepaths that are.
So they're
available.
ripping these fetuses out of their mother's wombs, doing something to them, and sticking them back in their mother's wombs to be born on Earth.
That, or they're going and creating them, or so, I don't know. The whole vision was kind of weird, and like my whole thought was, I get that they're seeding all of these species.
Yeah.
Like, two big questions then are, why are you still doing it? And two, where are the Narns? Because why wouldn't you just reseed Narn with telepaths?
It almost seems like I don't know what the vision was supposed to symbolize or what all. I could see this. The Vorlon seeded telepaths into all the different races of the galaxy because we needed to fight the shadows. Like,
because
that
those
makes-
telepaths were they were instrumentally critical in the defeat of the shadows. I don't know, Brent, what we would have done without the telepaths on our side in that battle with the shadows.
Exactly. We couldn't have won without them.
No way,
It's
possible.
a good thing that our war became their war.
Yeah, it's a good thing. We had Bester on board. I mean, without that, I have no idea how we'd be here now.
And not only that, don't forget, like, whatever telepathic thing Drawl has that puts him down into the battery of Epsilon 3, and without that being the secret weapon, that Sheridan wanted to keep up his sleeve just in case. Like,
this would be a very different series. We'd be watching the shadows because they would have won.
Yes, exactly.
Hashtag S.
So that's even the spot where Byron, he twists everything. He goes, they did this to turn us into cannon fodder because we were used in their war. Never mind the fact that everybody is a part of the galactic community that was being impacted by this. I just like that's the thing that gets me about Byron and about so many of these things is you're acting as if like something happened to you or to your people that was bad and evil, and that you were used as much as you were created and then allowed to go. Like,
mm-hmm.
And you weren't even really created. We seeded it way back here, and evolution has happened over the course of time to wherever you are. Like,
you're genetically modified people. That's it. Like,
but not even like your ancestors were, and it's just continued through your DNA. You're a new thing.
Yeah. Just like a kiwi or a banana. It's, you were modified at one point and now you're the normal thing. But I think, Brent, the thing that blows me away or confuses me with this is he's not wanting to go after the Vorlons for this whole thing. He's wanting to go after the normals who had nothing to do with this.
And that's what they said. Like he said at the end, he's like, we have to hold everyone else responsible for what they've done. We've got to hold them responsible for something that they didn't actually do.
Exactly.
Much like the Hyach today are being held responsible for what their ancestors 800 years ago did.
I see those as very different things.
Let's talk about that. Let's get to that part of the conversation.
So I'm a normal and you are a telepath, and you find out the Vorlons genetically modified your ancestors to bring you here to fight their war. So here I am living in a society that's created Psychor as a way to regulate telepaths. But I didn't even know till like a season ago that telepaths had an impact, or a season and a half ago, had an impact on shadows. I didn't know that. And in fact, no one ever actually knew that. This core group of small, command people in the structure understood that. So now you're going to come attack me for what they did, as contrasted to the Hyach, who genocided a species and then knew that as a society. They knew it and actively covered it up. So if you're a Hyach doe and I'm a Hyach and I'm part of this big thing that's like, we don't talk about the Hyach doe, they don't exist, we don't acknowledge anything that ever happened, and I'm perpetuating that narrative, I've got a level of accountability there. But if I'm just dude showing up and there's genetically modified people over here that I had no idea about them ever and never knew what they were there for or how they were created, I don't think I have a level of responsibility in that. I might have a level of responsibility in the Psychor that we created and I let perpetuate and how we treat you, right? Like that would be a legitimate beef. You know, Psychor is evil and it's horrible and how you've treated humans is awful. But I got Byron's thing as being about more than just humans. I got it about being about telepaths as a whole.
Yeah. When I was in school, I went to a very conservative, sign a contract and obey the rules kind of a school. And if you disobey the rules, we can convene a court that will kick you out of this school because it's that kind of a school. Part of that court involves certain deans and certain this and certain that, but it also includes a student representative, both male and female, to sit on the court. I got called for that court numerous times to sit in that spot.
I love that.
One of the things that I think I don't know why they kept calling me, because I think they had to have hated me, because people would get caught on a lie. Okay. And they would try to ring these people up on every single time they told the same lie, trying to get out of being, what do you do when you get in trouble?
Right. Back your way out.
Mostly, you try to get your way out, and you hold up a story until you can't hold the story up anymore. And then you're like, okay, fine, this is what really happened, right? And they would try to just nail this person for every single moment. I'm like, no. This person was telling one lie to multiple people, but they were telling one lie. And I would stick up for the person to be like, you didn't get through to them yet. You didn't break through the barrier and have them continue to lie or to have them face the truth. I kind of see that a little bit with a Hyach, and I hear what the person said. This is our shame. Okay, this is something that they as a people are deeply ashamed about. Of course, they're going to try to hide it, especially if it doesn't really affect anybody else at this point. We're going to try to hide it.
Pretty harmless.
It's pretty harmless until you go, oh, shoot, this is actually decimating our people. And we have no idea how to, and this is going to lead to their extinction, and probably rightly so, but not because they chose to hide it, just because that's what happens when you make those kinds of choices. Again, do the sins of the father get revisited on the children? Are you responsible for the sins of those who've gone before you? Should you be responsible for those sins? The fact that they got to a spot where they said, hey, you know what? Here's actually what happened. I would rather celebrate that and say, hey, now that we're here, we can move forward, versus saying, well, you just got caught. You didn't actually, you're more sorry that you got caught than you are that you actually did it. And I'm going to hold you accountable for all this other stuff you've done up to this point. That doesn't help.
Mm-mm. It's what breeds the resentment that we're facing now in society. So I'm going to prop myself up and get ready for the blasts to come and the unsubscribes to follow. But the reason, if I came on here, Brent, and I started talking about my level of white privilege and what my white privilege has done to create a space for me in society that I may or may not deserve and that I may or may not have earned fairly, there's a substantial percentage of white men out there who are going to turn that off and tell me to go fly a kite using a whole lot of other words.
You know why? Because the vast majority of white men, and I'm going to hold up my hand in this, do not feel or understand what has happened as a result of their white privilege. Yeah. Because they have had to work, scrape, scrap from the bottom, pull themselves up from their bootstraps in order to get to where they are. And they don't feel like they activated some superpower of white privilege. They may fail to understand how that happened and how that works. And we can that's what I mean when I say I have a lot of residual stuff in me that I'm still trying to figure out. I'm in process on this, people, guys. I do not have it all figured out yet. But those people that would click unsubscribe, Jeff, I understand why.
Oh yeah. That's kind of where I'm heading. Is it took me a long time. I have all these.
Yeah.
God, I have this story. I was in a leadership development course, and we had a full day session on microaggressions, which is fascinating. And I recommend everyone learns about microaggressions. Those are the tiny things that we do without even thinking about that other people. And I didn't understand what the guy was talking about. At one point, I told him, I just said, "Dude, I've built a whole career out of breaking rules and doing things my way." And in front of everybody, this was back in, I think, 2011. And he says, he's like, "Well, of course you have. You're white." And I lost it. And my classmates and cohort lost it. That was not received well. But fast forward about 10 years, and I was like, oh my God, he was right. He was right. I had to learn and understand. But my point in this is there's justice, right? Justice is acknowledging a wrong to make things better moving forward. That's a very simple definition of justice. Then there's accountability and vengeance, which is going back and somehow punishing a person or society or group or whatever for a thing that happened. There's this turning point that the Hyach reached. We were wrong. We acknowledge what happened. Please help us. Justice says, thank you for acknowledging that. Let's move forward and help you save. What vengeance tells us is now we're going to go back and we're going to punish you for all that time. It doesn't create vengeance. Now, that's why I brought the white privilege thing. There's a way of talking about white privilege that says there's all this stuff that has created an inequitable society. And as a white, cisgendered, heterosexual Christian man, I get to show up differently than other people. And then move forward with that. But instead, there are very powerful groups that insist on going back and getting that vengeance. And so as someone who hasn't gone on the journey or isn't far on the journey, you hear a word like white privilege or about Hyach genocide, and you're like, dude, that wasn't me. I was on food stamps just like everybody else. How are you mad at me about this thing? I had nothing to do with it. It becomes a me thing and a fear of loss thing to me, as opposed to, hey, let's acknowledge this and figure out how to move forward with it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the difference, right? I have a level of accountability in perpetuating the lie, the the whatever, a level of accountability for that. But it's not about going back and punishing them. You know, and I think that's what I appreciated in this Hyach storyline and Franklin's involvement, even because Franklin started there. How dare you?
Real quick. Yeah. Yeah. It was Franklin being Franklin. Frankly,
yep.
I'm better than you. And you are going to be held to I'm not going to help you at all because you did this. And then in 2.8 seconds, he was like, well, here's some stuff we could actually do.
Yeah, his journey was very fast, but it was the Council of Elders. It's a thing I actually thought was pretty great with the ambassador to her attaché, where like the attaché, she was ready to kill to keep this thing, you know, quiet. Yeah. Where she's like, dude, look, the Council of Elders aren't going to come out and say, hey, we were wrong, but instead they're going to like, here's everything. And when someone says we were wrong, we're actively going to not deny it.
Yeah.
And wouldn't it be cool if they owned it and said it, which the ambassador ended up doing. Yeah. But it would have been cool if the council did that. But you know what? At least it's a step. It's a step. And I think that's a thing too in modern society. And I think we've talked about this a few times. We have to celebrate the steps. Yeah, they didn't go all the way, but you can't punish them and be mad at them for not going all the way. They took a step. Mm-hmm. That's a big thing. 800 years of repressing this one story, this one lie. Right. It's a big deal to come out and say that, you know, and you got to celebrate that. And that celebration can't be a mission accomplished, right? We're not talking about George W. Bush on the deck of an aircraft carrier here. This is, hey, great job. How do we come together to move you forward?
We still have more work to do.
Yeah.
With that. I mean, let's call it out the most direct example we can, at least here in America. At the end of the Civil War, slavery was abolished in America. Phenomenal step forward. 1963, Jeff?
Civil
Maybe
Rights
later?
Act?
Yeah.
I think 63.
That's just when, hey, it's now a law that we actually have to treat them the same.
Yeah.
Because I just said it. There's a them. What's the them? Black people versus us as a white people. Like we still divide along these lines instead of coming together and working together. The idea that Byron, and that's what gets me so much about this us versus them. Byron wants to take his people and go away and go do their own thing and have their own homeland. And we're going to just go over here and be by ourselves. And and as if that's going to help, as if that's ever helped, versus this idea about humanity, this thing that we hold up that Babylon 5 has reaffirmed several times, that Star Trek has affirmed several times, of humanity's greatest asset. What do we say? What's it say in the beginning? Our greatest thing is to be able to build coalitions, to be able to
build community.
We build community and come together. That said, I can understand it on some level, a very microcosm of a level. I lived overseas for a while. I lived in South Korea. I was there for about 3 years. It was a neat place to go. I was the minority in that situation.
Yeah.
I was in a country that did not speak my native language, that had very different rules and customs in the way people act. And I tried to assimilate as best into that society as I could. But you know what I still was? I was still a white American hanging out over there. And you know what? There were times when it was really nice to have my Native American, not Native Americans, my people who are natively from the United States, in a group where we could just, like, we didn't have to do the other culture thing. We could just be us. And there was just a little bit of a breathing easy. I understand that. But that doesn't help. Like, there's a breath that can happen there, but that's not how we move forward as a society. We weren't impacting anything here. It's not until we started mixing in with the society that we were around. Again, though, the bigger thing to me, it really goes, and it lays in this. Byron is trying to do something that ultimately the Hyach did so many years ago, and we now see where that path leads, and it's not where you want to go.
No.
And Byron's trying to take his folks there. That's the amazingness of this story, that those two things are set side by side, and in us versus them. And you know, what are the sins of the father that future generations have to behold? What do we as earthlings owe to the telepaths? What do we actually owe to them? What does society owe to Lyta as an individual? What do the Hyach owe to the memory? He says this, only the Hyach Do could forgive you. You know, but there's none of them around to do that, which I will all the way. Look, I didn't say this. I was saving it for this right here. Jeff, did you see that picture of the Hyach Do?
Yeah.
Who was that?
That's the Hyach.
No.
Jeff,
that was Zathras.
What?
That was Zathras.
What?
Yes.
It looked like a less butt head.
On that planet right down there. Look at that picture again.
Okay.
It looked just like Zathras. Here,
I just thought like a less butt head of the Hyach. Are you pulling it up?
I'm going to try to pull it up. Hey, Jeff,
look too.
we've gotten to that spot of the conversation where it is time to strip this all down and see what are those messages that Babylon 5 is trying to say. We've already talked about a lot of it, but Jeff, your point here is to boil it down and tell us, rate this episode on a scale of 0 to 5 white stars. What does this episode try to teach us, and what's Babylon 5 trying to tell us in its own unique way?
This is going to get edited around in the audio version. I'm going to do that. I'm going to move this back. Dude, it is Zathras 100%.
Zathras.
I just looked it up. But here's the thing. Like on my little search here, my image search, there's a regular Hyach next to it. They are the Hyach with hair. Zathras and the Hyach Do are Hyachs with hair and facial hair. That's what they are. They're alive.
They're
on like Epsilon 3.
Yeah.
Are they clones? Are they what are?
There's 9 of them down there. And they said, hey, we've got all these new Zathras. Obviously, the Zathras are clones, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just look here. I'm gonna pull this in. This is I'm gonna do this on behalf of our YouTube folks. You said you're editing around this anyway,
just
so
for the
let me-
audio. So yeah, this will go out of order because when we're done with this, I'm going to dive into the white star thing. But
all right, hold on just a sec. I'm gonna get this in because YouTube. I want y'all to see this because y'all are like, either you've already Googled it and I'm wasting my time, or you're just not
I
gonna.
can't believe I didn't think that.
I'm telling, dude, it was
so
my
obvious.
First response. It was absolutely my first response, and I cannot wait to be able to tweet this to JMS and ask him, because here's what I want to know, folks out there: is this blowing anyone else's mind? Like, or do you guys just understand that this is Zathras?
Everybody's telling right now. Everybody's like, "Well, Jeff's just an idiot. How did he not see that?"
This is Zathras 1,000 years ago, like minus 1,000 years. Right? Like the mouth is a little different. There's a few things that are different, but dude, that's Zathras, man.
Well done, sir.
Just saying, he could have gone down to Epsilon 3.
That's where they may end up going. Like, that's going to be the thing. They're going to go down. They're going to get Zathras. They're going to tell Kieran and Zathras to take a room, and they're going to be the Adam and Eve of saving the Hyach.
Hey, there you go.
Okay, white stars.
I'm looking up Zathras right now.
Be careful, dude. Be careful.
I'm looking at an image. That's all.
Okay. White
all
stars.
right. You white stars, go.
Your anger has nothing to do with me. What will satisfy your anger will never come from me or anyone else here. I'm afraid you must look for it elsewhere. Oh my God. Think about everything we have discussed today around racial inequities. Think about all of the absolute hate that is being legislated and perpetrated against people in the LGBTQIA2S plus community. Oh my God, people are angry about that stuff, but they're not angry at them, right? They've got anger in other places. What an incredible message. What a Babylon 5 way of showing it. It was ridiculous. The whole hit me. Yeah. Hit me again. But he made the point. Look, dude, you hit me. Do you feel better? What a great pivot. What a great moment to look at that pivot between justice and vengeance. You punched me 3 times. You good? We got justice? We able to move forward? Or did you just get some adrenaline out? Refocus some of your anger in a horrible place. Wouldn't it be neat, though, if Byron took his own advice here? He's going to take out his Vorlon anger on the people that weren't altered. And little spoiler alert to the end on the rating of this one. Byron's blatant hypocrisy is gonna hit the white stars on this one. But we've been talking about the Hyach and the Hyach Doe. That is where like we just said, the Hyach are the end of the plan that Byron is perpetrating. He has a chance to look 800 years in the future and see what's going to happen. Because here's the message. We need everyone. Everyone matters. You might think, you might feel that you're solving some problem now by segregating people, closing doors in their faces, denying them basic medical care, or even genociding them. Like, you might think you're fixing something, but it's going to come back to bite you. Every person matters. For me, I think of Rush's Natural Science from 1980's Permanent Waves. It's been a long time since I got to bring up Rush, and here I am. Our ecosystems matter. We cannot think about only ourselves. We have to think about everyone and how we mix together to make a greater whole. The song itself, it's a beautiful song. It goes through like 16 different time signatures. It's very complex. When I play along to it, I still mess up. It's great. But it uses this beautiful metaphor lyrically of tidal pools. And there's this line that comes to mind for me. It says, living in their pools, they soon forget about the sea. So we have Byron actively creating a tidal pool on Babylon 5, advocating for a bigger tidal pool somewhere on another world, separating himself from everything.
Mhm.
And in that, he's going to forget about the sea, about the galactic community, and he's going to build this horrible resentment for people. This, Brent, back many times we've said there are Star Trek episodes out there that would be 0 Delta episodes. We've said that there have been Babylon 5 episodes and Star Trek episodes that back in the old days would be a 0 Starfury, 5 Delta kind of an episode, right? This one's really close in the middle, and we'll get kind of what we would see in the Starfury look at how you rank this one. But as far as white stars go, I'm giving this one 4 white stars.
Well, we're not doing Star Furies anymore because it's just white stars.
Yeah. Well, I'd say we get like a glimpse, like in how we rank it. Like, oh, that'd be
I got to tell you, I would have this for me, Jeff. And this is in my notes, so the folks on Patreon can go see it. I literally had this. I can't think of a better Star Trek message that we've seen in Babylon 5 than we have in this one. Just to prop up exactly what you're saying. The idea that we need each other to stay alive. Black, white, male, female. Let's dare say it. Let's take it out of that. Let's put it into the world of politics because that's what we do. Republican, Democrat. Whig, Tory. My British friends, I think I said it right. I could be wrong. Maybe. I don't know.
You tried. It's good.
Political folks from all over the world, the globe, take your deal out. We need each other to stay alive. And then I said this. If we still did deltas, this would be a 5 delta episode through and through, but 0 Star Furies.
Look at that.
I do not like this episode. I have so many issues with this episode, but there is something absolutely phenomenal in this episode that I didn't think was intentional at first. And then there was some stuff that was really intentional, and it's just phenomenal. Like it's a discussion that needs to be had.
I've been talking for over an hour about it because and there's so much more. We have scratched the surface of what we could talk about.
I think you and I came in here thinking this would be like a sub 50-minute episode.
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, we don't do Star Furies anymore, but we do rank these episodes because we are creating the absolute, definitive, incontrovertible ranking of all the episodes in season 5 of Babylon 5, and that's your job. Right now, Brent, our current top 5, in the top spot, The Very Long Night of Londo Mollari. Number 2, No Compromises. Then Learning Curve, A View from the Gallery, and in 5th place, The Paragon of Animals. Brent, we are pushing more and more the depths of this ranking. Where, I ask you, is Secrets of the Soul going to land?
Jeff, you know what we've said about season 5 so far? It's been very meh. Like, it's not been awful. It's just been there. We had the amazing episode of Very Long Night of Londo Mollari.
Yeah.
I actually really liked No Compromises as a season opener. I thought it was really good. The rest of the episodes have just sort of been there. For me, this is the first episode I explicitly say I did not like. I did not appreciate this episode for the plot that it was trying to take us through. So for that reason, this is number 7. I'm not dropping this to 22. This is not I'm pissed off kind of a thing. I just didn't like it. So it's going to go at number 7 for me.
I think this is an objectively bad episode. Like you mentioned earlier, structurally, mechanically, it's bad.
Yeah.
So that's a 7th is a generous ranking on your point. Part of this point.
Here's the thing. When it gets down to the end, could it be 22? Honestly, I hope it is, because that means the rest of the season's going to be better.
Yeah.
But if it was in that 19 to 22 range, that wouldn't shock me at all about this episode.
Well, that's it for Secrets of the Soul. Next week, we are watching Day of the Dead for the first time. We've never seen these episodes before. We don't look at thumbnails. We don't look at descriptions or anything. Brent, it's your time to make your prediction. Next week, we will pay the piper. But what do you think Day of the Dead is going to be about?
This isn't a Klingon episode, right?
I know,
We don't
right?
have Klingons in this show. Okay. First of all, Day of the Dead. If this one does not involve masks with skulls painted on them or like those little skulls, I'm going to riot, because Day of the Dead it's an actual like event that gets celebrated mostly by our Mexican brothers and sisters down there. I really enjoy that for them. And it's a cool festival to go be a part of. I've got a few of those that I picked up from the Mexican Pavilion at Epcot.
Oh, cool.
Which I don't know how authentic that makes them, but it makes me feel like they're authentic. Anyway, you know, I keep going back to Lanier. Every week I keep talking about Lanier and my prediction. I think he's gone. I'm sure he'll return at some point. Maybe he'll just have a random appearance here and there at some random time. But I feel like we're in it now with Byron. This whole like we're gonna hold him responsible. We're gonna do this, and so I think we're in this whole Byron thing, and Lanier will just show up whenever Lanier shows up, probably down the line. So that being said, I think we continue really where this one left off. I think Day of the Dead is a celebration. And I think it's probably going to be some other race out there that's celebrating it. And they're honoring the past and the ancestors, the ghost of the past. And they're going to come to Babylon 5 to celebrate this thing. And I think what's going to happen is the telepaths are going to get involved and they're going to screw with people and make them think they're seeing their ancestors and how awful they've been to telepaths so that we can escalate this whole thing. I feel like that's where this is going. How about you?
Well, just on your prediction, it just made me think of a little, I know people love it. They love it when I sing. Remember me, though I have to say goodbye. Remember me. Don't let it make you cry. Dia de la Muerta, a little Coco, right? It's going to come out of yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am in a very different place than you on this one. So you bring up Lanier week to week. Mine, when is Londo going to be emperor? This was supposed to happen like last season.
Early. No, it's supposed to be early in this season.
Yeah, we're well past early. I think this is the one where we're going to be on Centauri Prime. It's going to be the Day of the Dead because Regent Emperor Jokey McJokerson is finally going to pass away and Londo will be crowned emperor.
Okay.
And we'll find out right here next week. Thank you everyone so much for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you're listening or watching. Please leave us a rating and a review and share this podcast with someone who loves Babylon 5 or is about to fall in love with this incredible series. So until next time.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah, what's up?
Have you ever drank barium before?
Actually, I did. I had this whole digestive kind of thing going on. Ended up getting like the colonoscopy and a bunch of stuff. I was fine, but yeah, I had to do some. I had to take it down for a test.
Yeah, that's kind of gross. I think that we should use this as a time to remind folks out there that digestive health is important. Please make sure that you're getting all your screenings and all your testings. And if something's going on, please go get it checked out.
That's a good idea. But personally, I say that we get the hell out of here.
Initiating getting the hell out of here maneuver.
We're not some deep space franchise. This station is about something.
Boom.
Look at that. We had a really good discussion on that one.
That was a good discussion. I feel like it's still very incomplete though.
Yeah.
Like I feel like we just sort of brought it up and was like, hey, I feel like we should have this discussion. And then it's just sort of there. I mean, it really is this. Yeah, I meant to say this explicitly and I didn't say this. Am I responsible as a white man for the enslavement of the black people here in America?
Wow. Yeah.
Now, here's what I can tell you, historically speaking, and I know this for a fact. No one in my family's direct line ever owned slaves. I know that for a fact. I have historical records showing that. We didn't do that. I also know that as a white man, I have benefited from lower interest rates and easier to get mortgages and preference probably over jobs on some level, you know? And if I haven't, my dad certainly did. And my grandfather certainly did. And my great-grand and all those guys who never owned slaves, guess what? They still benefited from just being white. I get that part of the privilege. You know what I mean? I'm not saying everything was easy for them because they certainly weren't. You know, my family was never a rich family ever, you know? But we have, well, I take that back. We were, but that was a way back in England before we came to America. I just sort of start when we got here. Yeah,
I think it's complicated, you know, and I think for me, it's about what you do with the knowledge, you know, I mean, because like my whole little thing on white privilege is the people who are going to be like, yep, I done owned slaves, so I don't owe you nothing. We're done.
Yeah. I didn't do it. Wasn't my fault. Why should I have to pay reparations?
Yeah.
I didn't do it.
And the thing I hear, like, why should I have to pay reparations? You weren't a slave, so why should I have to give you money?
Yeah.
Well, it's more complicated than that, you know? And I think what's really hard.
And I just want to confess with that, Jeff. I don't know the answer to that. I'm not fully versed on it, and I don't have a good answer to that. And I'm not ready to just be like, well, yeah, we should give everybody reparations. I don't actually know. Maybe we should. I don't know.
I know.
Like,
and that's my thing. We got to do something, right? And I think we can debate the something, but I think that, like, for me, what I do, like, I'm in a position. In fact, you should look it up. I was on a podcast, 2-3 years ago. Called The Diversity Pivot, I think it was called, or something like that. But she had the greatest title for it. It's called the Peter Parker Principle of Privilege, which is it's.
Why have I heard this before? Say it.
Well, you've heard this before because I've told you this before. This is a me thing that I talk about. Yeah. But the Peter Parker Spider-Man, right? The original Spider-Man, was told, and it's a Stan Lee-ism, but with great power comes great responsibility. I just flipped it and said that with great privilege comes great responsibility. And so, like, I'm a white dude in an executive level position. I can do things that create equity for people. I don't give anything away. I'm not a charity, right? Yeah. People are still going to show that they've got qualifications, but, like, my role in this is I changed my recruitment and hiring processes so they're more equitable, so that people from different cultures, people of varying levels of neurodiversity and whatever, can come in and they can show that they're good at the job and can come do it. Now, on the backside, I actively created a welcoming and inclusive culture where, we actively look for tokenism. Did I hire this person because they are black and because I can put them on this committee and look how good I'm doing as a leader? I've got a person that's black over it. No, they're included and their stuff matters. But I'm in a position based on my experience, my education, my knowledge, and being white and being a man. Those are all factors that have put me in a position where I can do those things. And I can take those risks from a business standpoint. The board, the executives aren't going to, because I got this privilege. So I think the question isn't, what do we do as society to make this right? I think the question is, Brent, what do you do in your day-to-day life that creates equities for people?
Jeff, this is what actually needed to be in the podcast.
Yeah, I can put
this is the spot that you and I just missed. If we can edit that part back into the podcast, we should do that. I'm not saying we should re-record, but
if you're on YouTube, you're seeing it. I can move this. I can play time games on the audio ones.
So, yeah. That's what should be in the whole deal. Is it? Yeah, as a society, there's that question, but really, it's what do you do?
Yeah,
what do you do about it? Because I do again, I don't have it all figured out. I'm in process. I'm learning. But it's all
we're all doing. And frankly, if you're learning something, that's what you can do.
Yeah.
That's a
thing. There is the other side of it where, while I'm still learning and I'm still engaging and I'm still in this process, there is a piece where it feels like it's just expected of me that I'm already on the other side, that I'm already there. And if I'm not, then I should just be flung off and I'm not worthy of having any conversations. That does actually have like a thing. It's like, dude, wait a minute. And I get that people may have been having that conversation with tons of people before me. They're just tired of it. I get that. But I'm here.
Well, we can't rely on people that are BIPOC or from other underrepresented communities. We can't expect them to educate us, right? Like, that's not fair. If people are willing to share, like, I'm endlessly grateful for that, but I also would never expect it. I think that the side, though, that I don't know if we've talked about here before or not. I know I think I've talked to you about it before, but I have a person I work with who is non-binary. They're an NB. And when they showed up to work, they were female, she, her, full female name, all of those things. But because of the work culture that I've worked really hard to cultivate and create, they came and they said, I feel really comfortable being me. I'm NB, they, them. This is the name. I like to wear bow ties every day because if you're a Doctor Who fan, right, you know that bow ties are cool. But in the environment I created, they were able to show up as who they were.
That's good. That's so good.
But they came to me one day, and there were a couple people. I work with people, across all generations, as we do. Yep. And they're like, yeah, this person again keeps calling me her and calling me by my, my female name. I'm getting really sick of it. I need you to do something about it. And I go, well, when you correct them, are they trying? Like my thing was, are they trying, or are they being mean? Like, are they not letting you be you? Are they driving that, knife in, or are they just,
no, you're not that, you're she.
Right. Yeah. And they said, they're like, well, they try, but I'm just getting really sick of correcting them. And I'm like, okay, that's a different thing, because my ask, right. And I get to do this because I'm a manager, but like, I guess I'd even say my ask in society is like, acknowledge our effort. There's a point where, we got to get it, but grace has to be extended. If we're putting ourselves out and trying, that's not George W. That's not mission accomplished, right? But it's like, hey, thank you for trying, but God, this is my pronoun. Get it right, my dude. Come on, But in that case, I was able to come in and act as an ally and pull that other person aside and say, look, I really appreciate it. I've seen the effort that you're making. That's awesome. I need you to do better. I really need you to do better. And they have done better. Yeah. But I could have come at him and been like, you messed up and called this person. And now I've created a conflict where really everyone wants the same thing. It takes time to break up 60, 70, 40 years of programming. It takes time.
I can't imagine what that's like. I have said this multiple times before, I think, on this show. Every trans friend I have, I've always met post outing. I don't want to say transition, but post out. And they have always, like, I met them, it's a male to female trans. I met that person as a female. I've only ever known that person as a female. I've never had to know someone one way and then make a change in how I discuss that person. Like, I've never had that experience before in my life. And on some way I'm grateful for that, because it's just made things easier.
Yeah, a lot.
Like, I think of my friend Robin that we used to do a lot of shows together, Robin and I, when I was doing comedy. And Robin, I never knew Robin pre-transitions, and Robin's just always been Robin to me, absolutely cool person, and Robin, if you're ever watching this, thank you so much for your friendship and for being as open and honest and answering any question that I could ever possibly throw at you, and always being willing to answer that question. It was so appreciated from my side. If I could say this, Jeff, you are 1,000% correct. It is not, here goes the we them thing. It is not their job to educate us. Right. 100%. Yeah. It is not your job to educate me.
There you go.
However, it is greatly appreciated if you allow me to ask questions.
Yeah.
Because I don't have another resource.
Well, and honestly,
frankly, I want to go to the source. I want to go to the mouth.
I've had such great experiences again with people that are trans. There's someone, I think I've talked about them a little bit before, but I hired them as they were born. And then I left and did things. They had their transition while I was having other jobs. We ended up working together again. And it was great, and because we all have our own stuff that's going on in us, I had this like ridiculous need to say something, and so finally I thought about it a lot. I'm like, what do I say? And the correct answer, by the way, is nothing, right? You leave it. It's just that they're them and you be happy for them. But I said something, and because I had a relationship with him, it went really well. But I said to him after a meeting, I said, hey, look, I just want to say it's really great seeing you happy. I love seeing you being happy now. That's what I said. And he sat down and he totally opened up to me and shared his story, and it was great. But it got done. I was like, God, I am so happy for you, but I have to tell you, I don't understand. And he said a thing that rocked me to my core. He said, well, because you're not trans. And I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
He's like, you don't understand because you don't live this. And he said to, I'm not looking for your understanding. Like, I'm just looking for you to let me be me. you know, and know who I get to know me. Yeah. You don't need to know that it's trans, just get to know me. And that being trans is part of me, you know, but it's not my job to understand. I'm never going to live his life. And I was just like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
You know, because I think too many of us, we try to get into that. Why? And how come? And how come this? And how do I reconcile my thinking with you? Yeah, don't. Let them be them.
Yeah. And that's where I go back to I try not to comment on other people's experiences that I've never had, because and that's truth. Like I was telling my kids that the other day, because they were asking, they're trying to figure out the whole thing, and they're being exposed to various things. And you know, and they were asking, I was like, you know, I was like, nobody asked your opinion about whether or not you agree with something. Do I agree with the lifestyle? Nobody asked your opinion. If they do, you can give it to them, but why do you even have an opinion on how somebody else lives anyway?
Wow. Yeah.
Like, why? Like, why have that opinion? Just I mean, like with Robin, I just had logistical questions. Like, how did this work?
Yeah.
What happened to you? Like, well, what happens when you do this? And you know, Robin married to a cisgendered female and has children and stuff like that. Well, what was it like with your kids who are grown now? And you know, unfortunately, Robin's having problems with her adult daughter, you know, and but Robin and Robin's wife stay together and are an amazing couple. You know, and I can only imagine. And Robin talked like, yeah, my wife, like my wife did not marry a woman. My wife married a man. And I'm the one that threw everything in there, and she decided to stick by my side because we're life partners. And that's where I'm like, that is such a beautiful story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't want to shout. I'm not trying to identify people out there who haven't given me permission to share their stories. That's their story to share, not mine. But you know, Robin's wife, if you're ever watching this, good on you. I mean, just
seriously
amazing stuff. And you're right. I don't have to understand. I might be curious, but I don't have to reconcile anything to my line of thinking. Frankly, I don't have a line of thinking on it.
Like, yeah. Are you good? Cool. Then I'm good. Right.
How do you want me to do this? Are we good? Awesome.
Great.
Listen, that's cool. And you know, I'm not trying to hate anybody. I don't hate anybody.
And like to kind of, for me to kind of wrap on this in a way, there are probably, I hope there aren't people watching this that are feeling this way, but there are people out there who would hear this and be like, in fact, I will from memory read the quote that we have on a couple of our exit surveys on Patreon. Got too political. Friends, this is not political.
No.
This is people. This is humanity.
There you go.
Some people have made this a political issue.
Yeah.
It's not political.
No.
This is just humans.
Just being humans. Yeah. Yeah. All right, Jeff. That's gonna be Club 65 for this week, bud.
That's a good 65.
That's a good one.
I was like, 65 is gonna get into it.
I got to tell you, I've had to pee since we got to the White Starry conversation, so I'm gonna go do that.
Sounds good. Hey, everybody, have a good week.
All right, bye, guys. Okay, I really am.